In this video, I'm going to explain how you could use mind mapping for creating task lists. And this is something that I've been experimenting with. How can I use mind maps for task lists? Fundamental reason why it works so well for task lists is you're able to drill down on certain tasks. You're able to, like I mentioned in the other video, the NLP term, chunk up and chunk down. So I included with this video a skeleton, this exact one that I'm going to be using as an example here. So feel free to download it and customize it, add some images, make it look nicer than the one I have, and build upon it. So for me personally, there is the work area of my life, and then there's the personal area of my life. And sometimes what I like to do is keep note of all the things that I've completed for the day. And so I created this little section here called completed tasks. And this allows me to evaluate at the end of the day all the things that I did, that I've completed, so I can make a decision of what to do tomorrow, how productive I've been. I'll make some evaluations. I also track my time and do a whole bunch of other stuff. But right now, personally, I'm not using mind maps to create a task list because I rather use Evernote and another system. But I did experiment with it, and it is still a lot better than a lot of other task management systems that I have come across, or task list styles. So I'm going to share this with you anyways. And who knows, depending on what I'm working on, I might decide to go back on this again, because like I said, this does allow you to get very detailed oriented with the drilling down and the chunking down on specific elements, and I'll explain to you why. And sometimes I do use a hybrid of Evernote plus this. And essentially what I do is I'll have one window open with Xmind, the other window open with Evernote, and I will brainstorm and do quick things with Xmind, and I'll flip back and forth. I mean, you really have to see me do it for me to explain it to you properly. But let's look at this skeleton here, right? So in the work section, these are just examples. So what I've done is took a typical work day for someone. That would be email administration. If you're a software programmer, then you'd have an application development project. You would have a training gig, so maybe you're training someone on developing something. You'd be contacting leads for your business, right? So you need to get more customers, and you also need to clean your office. Something that we might try to avoid, but it always ends up on the task list. So there it is. Now, the power behind mind maps for task lists is that you're able to break down these tasks into very specific subtasks. So for example, email administration. Let's expand on that. You're going to dedicate 20 minutes to email administration. Okay, so that's a specific note. Now, you could even add another element in there. Let's add something very specific as far as email administration goes. Read newsletters. Maybe you subscribe to a bunch of different newsletters, and maybe you mark your emails, so read read emails, not red as in the emails were red, red as in the color red. Emails, and what else? Some other types of emails that you get the idea. So these are subtasks, chunk down tasks of this specific task. And one of the things that happens is we can get overwhelmed with the work that we're doing if we look at the entire workload that we have to deal with. For some of us, our email inbox is like a nightmare to look at, and there's so many things we have to do into it, that we have to do when it comes to email administration, that we're better off breaking the email administration down into specific sections, such as read newsletters or read the important emails. I'm going to change this to important because it's even confusing me. And you might have a filter in your email software that marks certain emails as important. So you want to address those first. And I'm actually going to take out this 20 minutes thing, because you could put times in there, right? You can say, 20 minutes on this, 80 minutes on this. So, in a day, let's say if you manage to complete just reading the important emails, you can just drag this and put this under completed tasks. So even though you didn't finish your total email administration for the day, you still looked at all the important emails. Now I'm being general here. You can get very specific and creative with this, but you see the importance of chunking down. Now, application development, I can give you a better example because there's lots involved with developing an application, such as you want to create an application feature mind map, so a mind map of the application. You also want to book time in your calendar for specific elements of creating this application and meetings and things like that. You also want to contact a graphic designer. Say graphics is not your forte and you're more into development, and you need to find out what the costs are, when they can start, and what's the time frame. These are all specific elements that are the current things you have to do to move on to the next level of your application development project. Again, as you go and complete these tasks, you can just move them over here so that at the end of the day, you can look at all the things you've done. So I'm just going to move this here. And, this will allow you to make decisions based on where your time is going. So you can see the value of using this for task lists. I'm just going to minimize that. Now, training gig, right? So say you got to train someone. There's a lot of elements to that. Create the presentation, print materials, book video projector, confirm the room that you're going to be running the workshop or training gig in, practice your presentation, create your checklist. So it's easy to look at, if I kind of expand this all, just go to extend all, how much things you've got to do. And I haven't actually added all the elements, right? So clean office, you don't have to put clean desk and clean floor in there, but if you add a realistic everyday person, working busy person's task list in here and you chunk down all the tasks, this mind map will probably be pretty elaborate, but you can see how you can feel a lot more accomplished, and you'll feel that the things that you're doing are more manageable if you can break them down into specific subtasks, and when you complete them, move them into the completed section, or even it allows you to focus on those very specific tasks so you don't feel overwhelmed. Because like I said, if we minimize all these, they look like, hey, you've only got 5 items on your task list. Not a big deal, right? You'll complete it at the end of the day. So it seems, but really there's so many sub-elements and things you can do with your task list, or things you have to do as far as your task list goes. Now I like to have a personal section on here. What I do with my existing task list, so I've experimented with this. I'm just putting this on here for you to see. I put a personal section on here, but then I realized that it's better to just combine it all in one task list, because my personal life is kind of intertwined in my work life, and it might not be the case for you. But in your personal life, what are the things you got to do, right? So you got to do dishes, you got to do the laundry, you got to fix that broken door hinge. You got to watch a YouTube video on how to fix a broken door hinge. You got to buy material, you got to repair the door, pick up groceries. There's your grocery list. Check out the Iris focus course, a little plug for the focus course that we created. And as you can see, this is a way of using a mind map to build a task list. And I did experiment with this, and like I said, the biggest takeaway, the thing that helped me the most from personal experience, is the fact that I could chunk down into very specific elements. So you could also do this if you don't want to create an actual task list, is just break down all the items you got to do on a task with using a mind map, and then move them onto your other type of task list software that you have, a spreadsheet or Evernote or something like that. So I hope you find this helpful. Again, a copy of this exact skeleton is available on the same page with this video. If you have any questions, you can email me anytime.